Part 80. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 803. 3 colors were pressed into the 3 divine gates, and the 3 colors of azure, silver, and black complement each other. Gradually, a majestic 3-color divine gate appeared in the air. This moment, the thunder eyes in the sky have also accumulated to the extreme. Boom. It is said that the elephant is invisible and the loud sound has no sound. At this moment, Su Junming finally understood the meaning. The mighty thunder resounded throughout the 9 heavens. The dazzling thunder light illuminated the void. Nearly 30,000 feet of thunder penetrated the sky and the earth. In an instant, Su Junming, who was 12,000 feet tall, was completely enveloped by thunder. When everyone 180,000 miles away saw this scene, their hearts rose in their throats. While they were worried, Su Junming's situation also reached its most dangerous moment. The powerful thunder, like a huge siege cone, hit the 3 divine gates heavily. The shield formed by the formation remained deadlocked for a moment before being broken. Raging thunder struck the 3 divine gates. The sealing aura of the Ksatagarbha divine gate sealed a large area of purple thunder, and the divine light of the celestial elephant gate bloomed, taking away all the solidified purple thunder. However, the power of the Xiandu thunder in the purple mansion thunder was powerful and was not blocked by the Ksatagarbha divine gate. The powerful crimson celestial thunder broke through the defenses of the 3 divine gates and hit Su Junming hard. Although it is only 300 feet. But the powerful Xiandu ray instantly penetrated Su Junming's chest. The thunder light dispersed, and the red Xiandu lay seemed to turn into countless phials, and the solid body was quickly vaporized as if the fire melted wax. Soon the dense white bones were revealed. The sky thunder drum flew out, and the powerful thunder light rolled up, and the crimson red immortal thunder was swallowed up. With the help of this top-quality immortal weapon, the power of Xiandu ray gradually diminished. But even though it was small, the remaining thunder still shattered Su Junming's bones. After everything passed, all that was left of the once 12,000-foot martial arts true body was a hill-like head, a spine broken into 6 or 7 sections, and a still beating heart. Fortunately, Su Junming was a martial arts practitioner. Any chi refining cultivator would have died long ago with such an injury. Only high-ranking generals who are reborn with blood can survive this desperate situation. The power of Tai Ren Huangdan that he had taken earlier spread out, and the rolling power combined with spiritual energy turned into powerful vitality. At the same time, a milky white stream of water flew out from the green gourd. Now, Su Junming is no longer stingy with the spiritual water of creation. The damaged body recovered quickly, first the internal organs, then the bones and flesh. After the skin membrane was completely grown, Su Junming breathed out a still surprised breath. Just now, he was so close that he would be finished. I really didn't expect that the power of this 9th thunder tribulation would be so powerful. Even with the tyranny of the 3 talents divine sect formation, it would be difficult to stop it. Fortunately, the harvest is not small. He stretched out his hand and a thunder drum flew towards him. The thunder within this magical weapon of thunder is as strong as the ocean. Especially the Xiandule, which looks like a dragon and snake inside and is obviously a level higher, is a big gain. This baby has already accumulated enough foundation to advance to Tai immortal treasure. If he allows this heavenly thunder drum to survive the tribulation now, he is 90% sure that it will become a Thunder Deo immortal treasure. In addition, after being trained by the heavenly thunder, the strength of his skull, spine, and heart has reached a higher level of admiral. If the intensity of the subsequent 8 tribulation thunders does not exceed that of the thunder tribulation, then this 9th tribulation will be no more fatal danger. His physical body had just returned to its full form, and the billowing wind was already pouring in from the soles of his feet. The invisible wind was not as sharp as the thunder tribulation, but it was the most sinister. And without the protection of the Sankei divine sect, it was more powerful than the thunder that hit him in the first place. From afar, the Dragon Emperor, Renwiji, and others looked at it. Su Junming's physical body, starting from his feet, slowly disappeared. Fast at first, then gradually slower. When the blue-black wind dissipates, Su Junming was left with only a bare head. The head was covered in blood and flesh, and white bones and teeth were exposed on the lower jaw. It was extremely terrifying and even more miserable. If it hadn't been strengthened by the previous thunder tribulation, and blown by the dark wind without any weakening at all, his head would probably be gone now. The same good fortune spiritual water and Tai Iron Huangdan quickly grew out of the missing parts. But before his body was fully grown, the mighty flames were already burning up. The scorching flames, with unimaginable heat, instantly engulfed his body. Crackling. The sound of breaking occurs after the water is boiled away. The veins on Su Junming's head were stretched high, his teeth were clenched, and his eyes were wide open, obviously trying his best to endure. Although he has practiced for nearly 1,000 years, his willpower has long been broken like iron under various circumstances. But the pain that was slowly burning through his body at this moment still made him almost bite his teeth. Although he could completely restrain his soul and cut off this pain, he wanted to take this opportunity to hone his willpower. Martial arts practice is destined to be a path that requires countless hardships to achieve success. Without perseverance, there will be no end in sight. Moreover, as a master, he also wanted to set a good example to his disciples who were watching from thousands of miles away. In this fierce and silent resistance, the flames gradually subsided. But soon countless golden swords and swords flew over. The further back he goes, the less devastation and damage the heavenly tribulation will cause to Su Junming. After the 9th golden tribulation passed, Su Junming was able to keep his head, spine, ribs, heart, and lungs intact. By the time the pure yang heavenly tribulation has passed, apart from the muscles and membranes, the bones will remain intact. Call. He breathed a sigh of relief. Not only Su Junming, but also Renwiji, Dragon Emperor, Ao Tian, Tai Zhenjun, including Qin Zhong. Although the calamity that others fear most is the calamity of inner demons, the bronze mirror, a precious treasure passed down from Chongshan Academy, can restrain the inner demons. Therefore, for Chongshan disciples, as long as they have read the 9 heavenly tribulations, they have successfully overcome the tribulations. Third Senior Sister, Master's Golden Immortal Tribulation is so powerful. Recalling the scene where lightning struck, electric chisels, and fire burned with swords, Miao Chufang still felt lingering fear. Chiao Shaoxin nodded slightly. Master has extraordinary qualifications and has practiced both martial arts and Taoism. Tianjia is particularly powerful. We only practice Qi and have never practiced martial arts. I think Tianjia will not be as powerful as Master. Fortunately, if I were to encounter a 9 heavenly tribulation like Master during my tribulation, I'm afraid that I would be torn apart by the powerful thunder during the 5th thunder tribulation. Miao Chufang shook her head. 8th junior sister has only been here for 100 years and is far from reaching the peak. Naturally, she feels that the golden immortal heavenly tribulation is difficult. When you reach the perfection of golden immortal cultivation in the future, and then think back to today, you may feel that it is not that difficult, Su Huang said. Miao Chufang nodded. She only practices Qi and does not practice martial arts. The calamity will not be as strong as her mentor. If she adds her own immortal weapon, it will not be difficult to overcome the calamity. While they were chatting, Su Junming had already woken up from his inner demons. What a real fantasy. Su Junming looked solemn. In the illusion just now, all his memories disappeared. If he hadn't prepared a backup plan in advance and used the bronze mirror to illuminate the spiritual platform, he would never have woken up so quickly. We must not neglect the training of our character in the future. Su Junming secretly made up his mind. Although the power of bronze mirrors is miraculous, there is an old saying, those who are good at swimming will die by drowning, and those who are good at swords will die by swordsmanship. Being too dependent on one thing is not a good thing. Although the bronze mirror is strong, it must have an end. However, these are things that need to be done later. Now that he has survived the 99 tribulations that no one has experienced in hundreds of millions of years, he should enjoy the fruits of his victory. Call. The clouds of calamity in the sky dissipated. The most essence part gradually turns into milky white, and the rich aura of creation appears. Finally, a 30,000-foot high force of creation spiritual energy flew towards Su Junming's body. At this moment, it was like taking Shiquan Dabu pill. Su Junming's body expanded again. 13,000 feet, 14,000 feet, and soon reached 20,000 feet. Then it slowed down, and finally stopped at 22,000 feet, nearly doubling in size. The huge body is taller than the mountains, and the majestic upper body is like steel poured into iron, with a faint metallic color. The surging qi and blood, like a sea tide, enveloped the whole body for hundreds of thousands of miles. The powerful magic power surged endlessly, and the stimulating danshan continued to expand, and soon it was like the ocean, with no edge in sight. The sky blue mana is as thick as honey, and every drop has great power. In the center of the danshan, a bronze mirror that looks like a mountain has peeled off stains one after another. Different from Su Junming's previous tribulations, this time he crossed a great realm, and it was also the 99 heavenly tribulation. Not only did he gain great fortune, but the power of the bronze mirror was also doubled. The green mirror light became clearer and clearer, and most of the stains on the back fell off. The four extremely complex divine patterns gradually became clear. Su Junming subconsciously wanted to understand, but quickly held back. Now is not the time. After the transformation of the bronze mirror stopped, a bright light illuminated the danshan, penetrated the internal organs, went straight into the middle palace, and penetrated the sea of consciousness. In an instant, my mind was as calm as water, my understanding increased greatly, and I felt that thousands of heavenly props were in front of me. Su Junming, who had experienced it many times, quickly began to understand the way of the three emperors. The once obscure Tao became extremely clear now, and with Ao Tian's cooperation, Su Junming felt that his understanding of the three emperors' Tao was rapidly improving. Unfortunately, until the end of this improvement in understanding, the three realms of the Emperor of Heaven, the Emperor of Earth, and the Emperor of Humanity showed no signs of merging. Sighed. Does it have to be achieved when the Logo Immortal is achieved before it can be completed? Shaked his head. Looking inside with his spiritual consciousness, he found that the gourd vine transformed into the seven souls Dharma body on the soul talisman had grown several times larger than before, but the black gourd, which represented the incarnation of the non-poison soul, still showed no sign of maturity. It seems that it requires higher cultivation to be possible. Withdrawing his consciousness, he raised his head and wanted to take a look. After surviving the catastrophe, he clearly felt the call from the upper world. As long as he wanted to, he could ascend now. After temporarily suppressing this feeling, he flew towards Dragon Emperor and the others. After explaining the funeral affairs, it is not too late to ascend. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 804. When humans are born, their natures are good. Their natures are similar, but their habits are far apart. In the spacious school, 30 to 40 Meng children were holding books in their hands, shaking their heads and reading aloud seriously. On the podium 3 feet in front, a tall gentleman wearing a green shirt with a gold rope tied around his waist and a green gourd hanging from his left waist was looking at his students with a smile. Wait for the sound of childish reading to fall. Everyone did a good job in reading aloud. Let's learn to read from tomorrow. Looked at the time. That's it for today, get out of class is over. The little guy who was quiet just now jumped up and cheered. Thank you, Sir. Goodbye, sir. After the students dispersed, Su Junming arranged the tables and chairs, briefly cleaned up the classroom, and prepared to close the door. As soon as I walked to the gate, I saw a somewhat beautiful girl wearing a long green cloth dress with several patches piled on top and a thorn hairpin in her hair, standing hesitantly at the corner of the porch. Seeing Su Junming coming out, his eyes were fixed and he hurriedly walked over. "Are you Mr. Su from Chongshan Library?" "I am." "Hello, Mr. Su." After bowing respectfully, he said, "Mr. Su, I heard that your library does not charge money for studying." Looking at this heroic lady, Su Junming smiled and nodded. "Not only do you not charge money, but if you study well, you can also make money." The girl's eyes lit up. "I have a younger brother at home who just turned 6 this year. I want him to study in my husband's library." "Okay, let him come tomorrow." "Thank you, sir." After the happy salute, he picked up the basket on the ground and put more than 20 eggs in it. "Sir, these eggs are all laid by my own chickens. You can take them back and eat them slowly." Su Junming didn't refuse and reached out to take it. "Thank you." Seeing him accept it, the smile on the girl's face became even brighter. "I'll send him here tomorrow." After that, he bowed once more, turned around, and trotted away. Looking at her back, Su Junming smiled. Although his school offers free education, there are still only a few who are willing to let their children attend. After all, for children from poor families, 6 or 7 years old is already an age when they can help with housework. So for 3 years, his students came and went, never exceeding 50. Looking at the girl's dress, it is obvious that she does not come from a wealthy family. Being able to support his younger brother in studying is obviously a role of eldest sister like mother. Looked at the eggs in the basket. "Let's give those boys extra food tomorrow." After closing the courtyard door and putting the basket in the kitchen, the figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he was already in the center of his own mountain. 30 years have passed since he passed through the Yuanyang Golden Immortal Tribulation. In the past 30 years, Renwuji, Dragon Emperor, and Tai Zhenjun have passed through the Yuanyang Golden Immortal Tribulation, and then ascended to this world together. Now, 3 years have passed. For 3 years, he has stayed in Hangzhou in this world, opened a Chongshan Academy, and enjoyed teaching. The 3 Dragon Emperors left early. The strange thing is that I don't know if it is because he has accumulated enough merit before, or if it is due to other reasons. His cultivation level has not been sealed, and he is still the cultivation level of Tai Celestial Immortal. Arriving at the pavilion in the backyard of Chongshan residence, you can see when you look up that in the 100-acre spiritual pond, the milky white spiritual water of creation is as thick as slurry, and is full of amazing spiritual energy of creation. The creation spiritual island in the middle is only 30 acres in size and more than 10 feet high, but it is full of greenery and surrounded by the rich aura of green wood. On the east side of the spirit island, there is a 9-aperture sacred stone 10 feet high. The 9 stone apertures as big as a bowl absorb the rolling spiritual energy and nurture the spiritual fetus in the sacred stone inside. After many years of nurturing in the creation spirit pool, it has accumulated enough foundation to give birth to an innate spirit again. It's a pity that the non-poison body is far from being born, so it can't be used. On the west side of Lingdao, there are 7 third-grade green lotuses the size of a water tank, and 3 fourth-grade golden lotuses with a diameter of over 10 feet, full of vitality. It can be seen that the spirituality of the 4th-grade golden lotus is nearly 100 times higher than that of the green lotus next to it. The 2 sides are obviously not of the same grade. In fact, this is also true. When the Bodhi golden lotus comes into Su Junming's hands, it is the best spiritual root. After thousands of years of creation and nurturing in the creation spirit pond, after he survived the catastrophe, he successfully advanced and became the Tai immortal root. The creation Qinglian was just an ordinary spiritual root at the beginning. Later, it was nurtured by the creation spiritual chi and continued to rise. Now it has become the best immortal root. If you want to advance to Tai like the Bodhi Golden Lotus, you need to enjoy another 500 years of spiritual energy nourishment in the creation spiritual pool. On the south side of Creation Spirit Island, there is a third-grade red lotus with a diameter of nearly 3 feet, a fourth-grade white lotus with a diameter of 2 feet, and 17 jade-colored lotus flowers with a diameter of about 9 feet. The third-grade industry fire red lotus is one of the 4 low-grade innate spiritual roots in Su Junming's hands. This baby has been raised by him since he got it from ancestor Honglian in Shushan world. Hundreds of years have passed, and a crop of 12 lotus seeds is almost mature. Su Junming planned to keep 2 as seeds and use the rest to make elixirs. He also didn't expect to cultivate 2 innate spiritual roots, that was unrealistic. Without innate immortal spiritual light, the cultivated red lotus is at best an innate spiritual object like the 4th-grade white lotus next to it, and cannot be called a spiritual root. In fact, when it comes to alchemy alone, the lotus seeds produced by innate spiritual beings are similar to the lotus seeds produced by red lotus. The reason why spiritual roots are more precious than innate spiritual objects is that the laws of the great path given by the innate immortal spiritual light can not only assist in enlightenment, but can also be used to fight against enemies. Innate spiritual objects must be sacrificed before they can become magical weapons, which can be used to protect the law and ward off enemies. This is the difference between the two sides. Those 17 jade-colored lotuses were the jade pool jade lotuses he got from Tianwai in the Shushan world. In fact, this treasure should have belonged to the Red Emperor of Nanzhao Kingdom in Qi County. Later, a war broke out to compete for the middle-grade innate spiritual root of the innate vermilion fruit. The fairy court of Nanzhao Kingdom was shattered, and the former Nanzhao Kingdom was destroyed. The Chiun Peak of Xianting in Zhao Kingdom fell to the lower realm and became the heavenly mountain of Shu Mountain. Yaokai Yulian was originally a top-grade immortal root. Over the past hundreds of years, he has advanced to the first level under the nourishment of the aura of creation, but it will take hundreds of years to transform into the Tai immortal root. On the north side of the immortal path of creation, there are 2 similar parallel peduncle lotuses. These 2 lotuses are side by side. One lotus is white and the other is black. The big one, the black and white lotus, is nearly 2 feet in diameter, both of the 4th grade. The smaller one, the black and white lotus, is only 9 feet tall, and both are of the 2nd grade. It was the yin-yang albizia lotus that Su Junming had obtained earlier. The big one is now a Tai immortal root, and the small one is only a top grade one. In fact, with sufficient spiritual energy nourishment, the spiritual roots in the Creation Spirit Island can advance to more Tai levels, so I won't go into details here. After a brief glance, Su Junming opened the jade box placed on the table. He took out a willow branch with a yellow head and most of it green. It has been nearly 600 years since he exchanged this willow branch from Fen Tuo for a Bodhi golden lotus in the Shushan world. It took him half a century to understand the first prohibition, but due to insufficient cultivation, he has not yet understood the second prohibition. A spiritual light bloomed in his hand, and he took 6 of them into his hand. Although this willow branch is only about 1 foot in the box, it is actually nearly 10,000 feet long. Su Junming used space compression to make it look less huge. When the spiritual consciousness is immersed, a dense restriction that is 100,000 feet long inside the wicker, like a spider web, is extremely majestic, difficult, and obscure, and the tyrannical restriction appears in the sea of consciousness. Although I have comprehended it countless times, every time I see this restriction, I am still amazed by the high level of formation cultivation of the person who arranged the restriction. In particular, the space and ceiling laws contained in it are even more profound. It is too far beyond the level of Yuan-Yang Immortal. Without the cultivation of Tai Immortal, it is impossible to solve it. This time it will be settled once and for all. The bronze mirror reflects the sky, the spiritual platform is clear, all distracting thoughts disappear, and the understanding is greatly improved. The powerful restrictions that originally seemed so obscure and almost difficult to understand suddenly became much clearer. Countless insights about space and seals poured into my heart. The Hushan talisman and sealing talisman, which were already 70,000 feet in Danshan, slowly grew again. Time passed little by little, and I don't know when, but most of the green wicker branches actually shone with black light of green and silver. At first it was just a little bit of starlight, but then it became more and more dense, almost turning into a blue-silver sun in Su Junming's palm. Sudden. Su Junming opened his eyes, and two cold lightning flashed across. Drink in your mouth. Open. Dazzling brilliance emerged from the palm of his hand. In an instant, the entire creation spirit pond was enveloped in green and silver brilliance. About a few moments passed before the brilliance disappeared. Looking at the size of the wicker in his hand, Su Junming breathed a sigh of relief. The moment he untied the wicker, it was originally 10,000 feet in size and instantly expanded to 100,000 feet. If it weren't for the infinite space contained in his Pantuo divine palm, this mountain dweller would have suffered a disaster. Just by removing the second restriction, the willow branch will become 100,000 feet tall. I really don't know how big it will become after the third restriction is removed. And how big is a willow tree with such a huge branch? Tyrannical. He shook his head, such a state was not something he could imagine. Spiritual consciousness looks within. It stretches for millions of feet, and the layers of restrictions are connected like a network, and there are as many as 12 layers. Obscure and profound, a tyrannical restriction that is 1,000 times stronger than the second restriction appears in the sea of consciousness. The third level of prohibition. It is also the last level of restriction in this willow branch. I subconsciously used the bronze mirror to reflect for a moment, and a feeling of having no idea what to say appeared in my heart. It's as if an ordinary high school student saw college calculus and couldn't understand it at all. Su Junming knew that the truth contained in this restriction was too much beyond his own realm. You have to work hard for hundreds of years, otherwise you can't even think about understanding it even a little bit. Let's leave that for later. He didn't put the willow branch into the box anymore, just threw it away and put it in the storage room. In addition to willow, there are also black species there, as well as the not-so-pure blood essence of the two ancestral witches Zurong and Jamang. These are some of Su Junming's most precious treasures today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 805. Chapter 786, Boundless, Mighty China. Looking at the Danshan, the Hushan Dao talisman is already 90,000 feet long. This is a state that can only be achieved by Tai Xian. The sealing talisman is a bit off, but it's still 70,000 feet long. There is something strange. There are 3 restrictions. In the first restriction, the sealing Dao is used more than the Hushan Dao. In the second restriction, the Hushan Dao is used less than the sealing Dao. I wonder what the 3 restrictions on the earth are like. I had the intention to go to Creation Spirit Island again to see how those few Taiying coal jade spirit flowers were growing, but calculating the time, it was already the morning of the next day, almost 3 o'clock in the morning. It's time to teach the students. With one step, he left Chongshan residence and opened the courtyard door. It didn't take long, and the little guys carrying school bags were playing with each other and running towards the school. Seeing him, like a mouse seeing a cat, it instantly became well behaved. Good morning, sir. Morning. After jogging into the classroom, the clear sound of reading soon began. More and more students gathered together, and within a short time, the girl whom I had seen yesterday came over, holding a little guy in gray cloth and wearing a bun, who was about 6 or 7 years old. Mr. Su, this is my brother Su Xian. When Su Junming saw it, he couldn't help but say and he looked more carefully. The little guy is very delicate, and his black and white eyes are full of aura. There are several broken lines on the lower lip, which means that the future is bound to be troubled. The lower jaw is faintly red, which means that in the future, noble people will help you, and you will be lucky in times of trouble, and turn misfortune into good luck. What caught Su Junming's attention even more was that at the canopy between his eyebrows, a wisp of purple energy penetrated directly into the sky. Destiny is extremely precious. Su Junming used a bronze mirror in his dantian to take a look. Purple air rose up from the top of Su Xian's head and gradually formed a wishful shape 3 feet away from his baby point. I didn't expect this little guy to have the luck to become an immortal. Among all the celestial fortunes, purple chi is the most precious. If it can penetrate directly into the canopy, you will definitely achieve extraordinary things in the future. Different shapes represent different fortunes. If it turns into a big seal, it will be the prime minister of the 3 provinces and 6 tribes. If turned into a weapon, he would be a general. If it is as you wish, it means you have the luck to become an immortal. You have a great brother. Thanks for the compliment, sir. Xianer will be left to you. If he is naughty and disobedient, you are welcome, just slap the ruler on him. From the tone of her words, it was obvious that she was not lying. Su Xian also showed a hint of fear on his face. Still a sister like Mother Meng. Don't worry, since I am a teacher, I will teach him carefully. Thank you, sir. Su Junming nodded and said, go back. Then I'll bother you, sir. After he finished speaking, he turned his head and grimaced. Brother Xian, it's a good time to study and read with your husband. If you are playful and naughty, go home and see if I break your legs. Su Xian winced and said, I know, sister. The girl bowed to Su Junming, then turned and left. Come in with me. Is teacher. After briefly introducing Su Xian to other students, Su Junming started today's class. Although there are new students joining, we still have to take care of most of them. After leading the students to learn the first 2 sentences and 12 characters of the 3-character classic, the day's class is over. Su Xian, please wait a moment. Gentlemen. You came late and couldn't keep up with the progress of other students, so you have to study harder after you go back, you know. Yes. Let's go back. Su Xian bowed and saluted, then turned and left. However, after delaying this for a while, the other students had already left. Looking at his back, Su Junming pointed at the courtyard door. A black brilliance flashed through, and Su Xian's figure stopped instantly. Su Junming stood with his hands behind his hands, watching quietly as Su Xian reincarnated in a layer of illusion. 1 level, 5 levels, 100 levels. It lasted until the 357th level of illusion before he completely sank. Pity. Su Junming sighed. There are 365 levels of illusion in the human soul divine gate, each one is more profound than the last, and each one is more real than the last. Each one is more tempting than the last. Being able to withstand 365 environmental tests must be an extraordinary talent in terms of qualifications, understanding, character, and perseverance. In the future, as long as there is no lack of luck and the road collapses midway, great achievements will be achieved. However, Su Xian is able to withstand 357 different environments, and he is also a 1 in a million genius. If you practice hard in the future, you may not be able to get a glimpse of the Tai fairyland. Even if you can't become a direct disciple of Chongshan Academy, being a registered disciple is more than enough. He has been in Hangzhou for 3 years and has taught 300 to 400 students. This is the first time he has met a disciple with such superior qualifications. At this moment, I couldn't help but feel a little more love for talent. With a flick of the finger, the human soul divine gate disappeared and turned into an ordinary black courtyard door again. Su Xian touched his head, vaguely feeling that he had experienced something, but thinking about it, he didn't have any memory. When he saw that it was getting late, he thought that his sister was still at home waiting for him to have dinner, so he hurried out. Su Junming watched his back go away, shook his head slightly, packed up the classroom, and closed the courtyard door as usual. When I arrived at Chongshan residence, I was just about to learn the elixir recipe of Tai Dai Huang Dan when I realized that someone had touched the prohibition that I had left in the academy. With a thought in his heart, he stepped out and pointed at the courtyard door. "Come in." As soon as he finished speaking, several tyrannical yin energy flew in, and soon transformed into an official wearing a red robe and a crown, and 3 ghost generals wearing armor and holding swords and guns. Chen Hong comes to the head court. This Chen Hong is the city god of Hangzhou, in charge of all affairs in the underworld of 18 prefectures, 136 counties, and 1,359 towns under Hangzhou. It is a powerful ghost immortal equivalent to the realm of Xianxian. Now he is controlled by true Lord Tai Swanyan Gord. "Get up, what do you want from me?" Chen Hong took off a gourd from his waist, held it in both hands and handed it to Su Junming. "Here are the new abandoned children in Hangcheng County last month, a total of 126,796 people. Hangcheng County spans 120,000 miles and is a land of plenty in the south of the Yangtze River. It is densely populated, with a population of nearly 200 million in one county. Therefore, hundreds of thousands of disabled babies are abandoned every month, as well as baby girls who were about to drown but were saved. In order to accumulate merit and strengthen the strength of Chongshan Academy, and because of his own nature, Su Junming, the first thing he did after ascending to this world was to let Tai Zhenjun control the local monsters and monsters to save babies for him. Young. In the past 3 years, tens of millions of babies and children have been rescued by him in Hangzhou and a dozen surrounding counties. Well done, I'll give you this bottle of Yang Yang pill as a reward. Chen Hong's face was full of joy and he quickly took it. After becoming an immortal, his body has transformed into pure Yang essence, and the Yang returning pill is just right for his current cultivation needs. Thank you, Master. As long as you work hard, I will never be stingy with rewards. Yes, yes, Chen Hong takes his leave. Go ahead. After he left, Su Junming took the gourd and came to the Tianhui mountain. This small thousand world, which is already 20 million miles in size, has been with him since Jixian Shenzhou. After hundreds of years of living and reproduction, there are now nearly 50 billion people here. Moreover, supported by the rich spiritual energy of the world, it is still expanding. Come to the main campus of Chongshan Academy in this world. Seeing him coming in, Li Ning, Zhou Chun, and Yang De quickly came over to greet him. Disciple meets his mentor. Su Junming smiled and nodded. No need to be polite, just get up. Thank you, mentor. Looking at the 3 people, he was secretly satisfied. The 3 heroes of Qilu in the Shushan world have now become the 3 immortals of Qilu in Chongshan Academy. Although they are only registered disciples, they have practiced hard for so many years and have never slackened off. The cultivation of the 3 of them is already that of Yuan Yang Xianxian. Among them, Li Ning is the highest and has reached the late stage. In addition, they have managed the world of Tianhui Shenshan for hundreds of years, and have trained thousands of outstanding disciples under their hands. Even among the direct disciples, there were 19. Great credit. With a wave of his sleeves, the gourd brought by Chen Hong floated in front of Li Ning. This is an abandoned baby from Hangcheng County last month. After some treatment, he was able to teach him well. Disciple, I obey. It's just that the spiritual water of creation given by Master has almost been used. I would like to ask Master to give some more to make up for the congenital defects of these babies. Su Junming nodded and gave him some good fortune spiritual water. The spiritual water of creation is so miraculous that it can completely cure even congenital defects brought from the mother's womb. There's just one thing, it can't fix the congenital defects in the soul. Of course, it is not completely impossible to cure, it only requires a higher level of creation energy, or Su Junming himself takes action. Fortunately, there are not many such children, so there is no need to worry too much. Just when Su Junming was about to speak, there was a flash of light, and the figure of the Dragon Emperor suddenly appeared next to him. "I've met Third Master Uncle." Li Ning and others quickly saluted. "No need to be polite." Looking at Su Junming, "Let's go, I have something to ask you." After explaining to Li Ning and the others, they followed the Dragon Emperor to Chongshan residence. In fact, Tianhui Shenshan is located in the middle of Chongshan Mountain. The two are like Matryoshka dolls, with the more powerful latter containing the former. "Why did you come back suddenly?" The Dragon Emperor's eyes were full of excitement. "I guess I know what world we are in." Su Junming was refreshed. Ever since he ascended and came here, he had been planning to figure out which world he was in. But unfortunately, this world is too huge. The Great Qi state where he is located is 90 million miles in length and breadth, almost twice the size of the Great Song dynasty in Qi County. There are hundreds of countries similar to him around Deqi. Even in the north of Deqi, there was an existence called the dynasty. A dynasty spans billions, even tens of billions of miles, and has a population of hundreds of billions. It can be said that apart from the population, the mountainous world that Su Junming worked so hard to build is not as vast as a dynasty like this. As for the entire world, Su Junming still doesn't know how big it is, but it must be more than 1 trillion miles away. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 806. Tell me, where is this world? Su Junming's eyes were fiery. The name of this world is the Earth Immortal Realm, which stretches thousands of billions of miles across. The world is divided into 4 major continents: Shengshen continent in the east, Zanbu continent in the south, Luzhu in the north and Niuhe continent in the west. Wait, journey to the west. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Beyond the Dongsheng Divine Continent, in the vast East China Sea, I did find a large island with a width of 380,000 miles. There is a country on the island that is proud of itself, and in the middle of the country there is a huge mountain that spans 100,000 miles. It's called Huaguoshan. This mountain has 108 peaks, and the spiritual fetus that gave birth to the Lingming stone monkey is at the top of Xiangyang Mountain, one of the 108 peaks. Can you leave a teleportation array in Huaguo Mountain? Su Junming asked quickly. The Dragon Emperor smiled lightly, of course. Come on, let's go take a look. Brother Monkey's charm made him a little curious. Is your academy no longer in charge? Just leave a clone. With a flash of light, another Su Junming came out of his body, and then disappeared in Kongshanju. After advancing to the Tai Heavenly Immortal Empress, he has been able to create 1,200 clones, although he cannot have independent consciousness and practice on his own like the Dragon Emperor. But teaching students can still cope with daily life. He stretched out his hand and the celestial elephant gate appeared in front of him. Driven by the powerful magic power, the 2 stone doors slowly opened, and a black passage slowly appeared. Su Junming frowned slightly. The world power of the Great Thousand World is thousands of times that of the Middle Thousand World. Not only has the power of the fighting technique been greatly reduced, but the teleportation array cannot be used as freely as before. Fortunately, his understanding of the way of space is high enough now, and the celestial elephant gate is a low-grade innate spiritual treasure. After spending some time, Su Junming's consciousness instantly discovered a road sign leading to the farthest northeastern corner. Walk. The two flew in. Within a moment, he appeared in a cave that was half an acre in size. After looking around, except for the altar at the foot, there was nothing else in the simple mountainside. I thought you set up the teleportation array in the water curtain cave. I would like to, but there are 18 Buddhist arhats guarding there, and I don't want to alarm them yet. Sun Wukong is the Buddha appointed by Buddhism to fight and defeat him. He is the first protector of Buddhism in the East. Of course, he must be well protected. The two of them came out of the mountain, and under the leadership of the Dragon Emperor, they came to the top of a big mountain. The Dragon Emperor's void divine mirror shed heavy spiritual light, and the endless power of space completely covered all the auras of the two people. Look, that's the Lingming stone egg. Look in the direction of his finger. In the sun-facing stone recess on the top of the mountain, a huge boulder 9 feet high grew. This boulder is full of colors, connected with the skylight, and rich spiritual energy flies from all directions and pours into it. When the bronze mirror was activated, the spiritual energy in the boulder almost liquefied. In the extremely rich spiritual energy, there was a monkey about 5 feet tall with golden hair. His legs were curled up, his arms were hugging his legs, his eyes were closed, and his head was lowered. Hanging, like an unborn baby. Sun Wukong. Su Junming's heart moved secretly. No wonder he will achieve extraordinary things in the future. His innate skills are so strong. The Dragon Emperor nodded. This 7-colored spiritual fetus contains the fundamental energy of innate Tai Chi creation. The innate gods born from this energy are 2 levels higher than Yu and Lao Wu. Coupled with the innate luck, it will be enough to become a Delodo Jinxian in the future. As he said, innate gods also have levels. According to the different 5 innate chi, the innate gods are divided into 5 levels. The gods conceived from the lowest level of innate Tai Su Chi are not called gods, but are usually just called innate Tao bodies. For monks, this is already the top monastic qualification. It is also the most common and lowest form of innate gods. And further up, there are gods condensed from the innate Tai Shi Chi. Su Junming and Tai Zhenjun were both conceived from the 9-aperture divine stone in the creation spirit pond in Kongshanju, belonging to the penultimate class, or the lowest level of innate gods. In the vast world, this level is called Tai Shi innate spirit. Further up, there are the innate gods who are condensed from the innate spirit of Tai. As long as the innate gods of this level do not die midway, they can 100% become the Tai golden immortal, so they can be called the Tai innate gods. And further up, the innate gods created from the innate energy of Tai Chi are called the Tai Chi innate gods. In the future, he has the foundation to become a great Lodo Jinxian. The top one is the innate spirit condensed from the innate energy of the beginning. It is the top existence among the innate spirits. It has extraordinary births and great luck. It is the innate god of the beginning. This was the first time for him to see even the innate gods at the Tai Chi level, let alone the Tai Chu level. Maybe the legendary San King is at this level, who knows. This is an excellent seed for cultivation, Su Junming praised. You want to take him in? I have this idea. It is the Buddha chosen by Buddhism to fight and conquer, and the protector of Buddhism's Eastern transmission. With our current cultivation level, if we touch it, we will probably just run away. In the world of Journey to the West, the power of Buddhism is extremely powerful. In addition to the Buddha Sakyamuni, the 4 great bodhisattvas alone are by no means easy to conquer. Not to mention big names like Buddha from the East and Zen Master Wacheo. Su Junming smiled slightly. Buddha won't know. Turning his head in surprise, he knew that I never do anything that I am not sure of. Ever since I realized my destiny and entered the Tai realm, I have realized a magical power called life replacement technique. I only need to use the soul of a wild monkey, as if in this innate body, I can replace it with him. Sun Wukong caused havoc in the heavenly palace and spread the destiny of Buddhism to the east. You only want his soul. The spirit of all things, the divine soul is the foundation. With this as the foundation, supplemented by the innate creation energy in the creation spirit pool, and this 7-color sacred stone, we can completely create another Monkey King. Is it really worth all this trouble for a Monkey King? Good successors can only be found but cannot be sought, and when encountered they cannot be let go. The Dragon Emperor nodded and looked at the magical stone with aura of light in the distance. Is Sun Wukong still the much anticipated Monkey King who has not experienced the chaos in the heavenly palace and has not experienced the pain of traveling to the west? It depends on how we teach. The Dragon Emperor nodded and said, I'll lead the 18 Arhats away. No need. The 18 Arhats are responsible for guarding the spiritual stones, and they have a heavy responsibility. You only have one person, and it is difficult to lure them all away. And if the trouble becomes big, it is easy for the Buddhists to be alert in advance. Looking at the questioning look in Dragon Emperor's eyes, Su Junming said with a smile, why have you forgotten that we have a space treasure like the divine mirror of the void in our hands? With my current understanding of space, I can go there without touching this formation. Next to the colorful spiritual stone. God didn't know it, and the ghost took it away without knowing it. This is a Tai formation, are you sure about it? A few days ago, I wasn't absolutely sure, but now. Su Junming had a confident smile on his face. Understanding the second seal in the willow branch allowed him to take a big step forward in the realm of Hushan Dao. Coupled with the assistance of the mid-grade innate spiritual treasure void mirror, it is not difficult to overcome the blockade of Tai formation. As long as you are sure. Su Junming nodded and said, go to the flower and fruit mountain and look for the soul of a dying old monkey. There are many monkeys in Huiguo Mountain, and many of them even become monsters. Finding the soul of a monkey couldn't be easier, and the Dragon Emperor soon returned. What do you think of this soul? The Dragon Emperor threw a crystal ball over. You can see that the sealer is a 5-foot-tall yellow-haired monkey. This monkey is old and dying. This old monkey is very lucky to be chosen by you. Is it really okay to look like this? The Dragon Emperor was seriously doubtful. Haha, of course. Su Junming made a few seals with his left hand, and a misty black mysterious light flew out of the gourd around his waist. After integrating into the old monkey's soul, his soul became visibly stronger with the naked eye. Where did you get so much soul essence? Asked the Dragon Emperor. I've been in Hangzhou for 3 years, and I've captured a lot of vicious souls. Looking at the old monkey's soul that had grown nearly 100 times, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Give me the divine mirror of the void. The Dragon Emperor's heart moved, and the bronze mirror above his head flew into Su Junming's hands. You go back to Chongshan residence for now. I'll get the things and then go find you. The Dragon Emperor did not hesitate, activated the phantom of the celestial elephant gate in his Danshan, and his figure disappeared instantly. He took a slight breath and looked at the 7-colored boulder enveloped by the formation. A 9-foot-long Hutian magic talisman burst out in the Danshan, and a dazzling azure black light erupted. Driven by the tyrannical magic power, the void divine mirror in his hand exploded instantly. Because there is a thick space barrier surrounding him, Su Junming is not worried about being sensed by the 18 Arhats in the Yuan-Yang Golden Immortal Realm. After the bright mirror light shot out 3 feet, a black hole gradually appeared in the originally empty mid-air. With Su Junming's current level of cultivation in the Tai Celestial Immortal Realm, he can already fully unleash the power of the mid-grade innate spiritual treasure void mirror. However, because of the limited mana, it is difficult to persist for a long time. Seeing a space channel no bigger than a child's fist appearing in mid-air, Su Junming flew up and disappeared in it instantly. When he appeared again, he was already next to the colorful sacred stone. What a rich spiritual energy! Just by being within 10 feet of the colorful spiritual stone, the concentration of spiritual energy was close to that of his Chongshan residence. As if aware of his arrival, a trace of ignorant consciousness carefully flew over from the colorful boulders. Su Junming raised his right hand and activated the talisman of creation, and the tip of his index finger lit up with a faint milky white brilliance. The consciousness wrapped around him quickly. A feeling of joy spread into Su Junming's heart. In that case, just follow me. The aura of creation disappeared from the fingertips, and a thick soul-binding chain flew into it, ignoring the hard shell of the colorful sacred stone, and soon detained a golden monkey and returned. He is worthy of being an innate creature at the Tai Chi level, but the strength of his soul exceeds that of many Yuan Yang true immortals. After putting it away for now, forming seals with both hands, at the same time, the talisman representing the path of destiny in the Danshan emits billowing spiritual light, and the vast magic power is transformed into a strange, unpredictable, and boundless power of destiny. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 807. Change. With a sudden shout, an extremely powerful purple luck was slowly pulled out from the golden monkey's soul. As the son of destiny in this world, an extremely tyrannical force emerged from nothingness and descended heavily. Su Junming's brows jumped, his hands trembled, and he almost couldn't maintain his magical power. What a strong luck, but I still can't pull it out with my magic power. The Danshan bronze mirror shoots out a hazy clear light. As Su Junming's companion treasure, there is no doubt that the bronze mirror is powerful. The life substitution technique that was still sluggish before suddenly became smooth, and the huge purple luck, which was heavier than 1,000 worlds, was pulled out easily by him. However, the mana in the Danshan is also being consumed violently. Watching the purple luck, which represents the son of luck, fall onto the head of the yellow-haired old monkey, Su Junming just collected his magic power, pressed the bronze mirror, and breathed a sigh of relief. It's finally done. With a push of his right palm, the soul of the yellow-haired old monkey flew into the colorful stone body, and soon set up camp in the golden monkey's body. Although the soul of this yellow-haired old monkey is still far inferior to that of the golden monkey, with the nourishment of a powerful physical body, the soul will still gradually become stronger. But the gap between the two parties, the soul and the body, will always exist. After doing this, Su Junming did not leave immediately. Reaching out to grab it, the endless earth element spiritual energy gathered and soon condensed into a huge stone that was exactly the same as the colorful stone body. Then, the spiritual energy of creation flew in along the fingers. Gradually, the colorful spiritual light appeared from scratch and gradually became more intense. Su Junming also arranged a spirit gathering array in it. After everything was done, he took the golden monkey out of the colorful stone womb and put it into the colorful spiritual stone he had practiced. Put away the colorful stone body and put back what you have practiced. This natural sacred stone is really rare. It would be a pity if you destroyed it. So I took it away. With this divine stone, conceived and nurtured with the spiritual energy of creation, tens of thousands of years later, another Tai Chi innate divine fetus will be born. Finally, after taking 1 drop of the 12 drops of essence and blood from the golden monkey's physical body, he urged the void mirror to leave. After taking a distant look, Su Junming returned to the cave where the teleportation array was placed. After sealing the entrance of the cave with a ban, we came to the backyard of Chongshan residence. Finished. The Dragon Emperor turned around and looked over. A wave of his right hand. A colorful boulder drew a beautiful parabola and slowly landed next to the 9-aperture spiritual stone. Gilu, as if swallowing, the spiritual energy of creation gathered around him quickly, and a trace of dim innate Tai Chi fundamental energy of creation in the colorful sacred stone became stronger in an instant. The sound of swallowing disappeared, but there was still a strong flow of spiritual energy. Another big eater. Su Junming smiled lightly. The world is full of spiritual energy, so supporting them is nothing. With a flick of his finger, the golden monkey's soul and a drop of blood flew into the 9-aperture sacred stone next to it. Having accumulated enough knowledge about the 9-aperture spiritual stone, he already has the capital to breed innate gods. As soon as the rich spiritual energy of creation was contaminated with the essence and blood of the Lingming stone monkey, a dazzling golden-haired monkey began to take shape in an instant. A simplified version of Sun Wukong, said the Dragon Emperor. Shaked his head. Although he has lost his powerful physical body, his essence is still that of the great sage Kishan. He has extraordinary qualifications and extraordinary understanding. With this foundation, coupled with my elixirs and teachings, its future will be far better than a nominal struggle in Buddhism. It is more promising to defeat the Buddha. What method do you plan to teach it? The Dragon Emperor continued. The Lingming stone monkey understands changes, knows the weather, knows the location, and can move stars and change battles. Of course, it is most suitable to teach it the Pangutru secret. He has absolute self-confidence. The Pangutru art that he achieved by combining the body-refining methods of the witch clan, as well as the body-refining methods of several worlds and countless sects, and through the Bronze Realm's enlightenment, is definitely not as good as Patriarch Bodhi's great immortal art difference. However, as for the 36 Tiangang changes and the 72 Earth Evil changes, he had obtained them from Tianchi Dao as early as when he was in Chixian Shenzhou. But he didn't know about the somersault cloud. Fortunately, when it comes to escape techniques, there is no escape method in the world that can be faster than the way of space. Especially with the help of the celestial elephant gate, one can cross thousands of miles in just a moment. Don't you only accept one true disciple of a lineage of Taoism? This monkey deserves me to make an exception for him, Su Junming said. Having said that, I think it's better to let him learn another lineage of Taoism. His qualifications are extraordinary, and with the blessing of the bronze mirror, it would be a waste of his qualifications to only practice the Pangutru art. He glanced at Su Junming and said, besides, this can also maintain your rule that your lineage of Taoism can only be passed down to one disciple, so that they don't have to think too much. Su Junming frowned. Although he believed that his disciple would never be dissatisfied because of this, but everything was done in advance, and there was no harm in thinking in advance. Forget it, let him choose one of the 5 elements. As soon as he finished speaking, a golden spiritual light rushed up from the 9 apertures divine stone, and at the same time, a precious light also appeared in the creation spirit island. This monkey arrived just in time, the Dragon Emperor said calmly. He reached out and made a move, and a green light flew from the creation spirit island. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a big green gourd, and slowly fell into Su Junming's palm. This is the 5th gourd produced on the 7 treasure gourd vine, following the fire cloud gourd, Wu Tu gourd, divine sword gourd and Swanyan gourd. Like Swanyan gourd, it is also an innate spiritual object and a low-grade fairy treasure. But unlike the Swanyan gourd, this green gourd is born of the wood type and has 2 magical applications. Diamond wood can instantly make trees within 100,000 miles extremely hard. It is not afraid of weapons, water, and fire, and is comparable to a low-grade metallic fairy treasure. Tai wood is the opposite of King Kong wood. It can make trees extremely soft and tough. It can be captured, bound, and killed without any disadvantage. One is hard and the other is soft, one is yin and one is yang, which correspond to the 2 most significant attributes of the avenue of wood. Holding the gourd in his hand, Su Junming smiled and said, it seems that I don't have to have a headache anymore to teach it any skills. The Dragon Emperor nodded. With this green wood gourd, apart from the Pangu divine technique, the wood attribute technique is of course the most suitable. Su Junming grabbed it with his fingers. My 9 apertures divine stone was hard-earned, but I can't let you ruin it. After he captured it with his magic power, a golden-haired monkey about 5 feet tall, with his eyes shining directly at the bullfight, appeared in front of him. This monkey was indeed an innate creation, an innate god of Tai Chi level. After Su Junming let go of his hand, he turned over and prostrated. Disciple begs the patriarch to take him under his section. Haha, you monkey is really smart. Let me ask you, what kind of innate magical power have you awakened? The monkey scratched his head. Returning to the ancestor, the disciple has awakened the three magical powers. One is called the mother and son clone technique. The disciple can summon as many clones as there are hairs on his body. The two are called the spiritual examination technique, which can tell the weather and the right conditions, avoid death, and prolong life. The three are called moving stars and changing battles, which allows the disciple to transform into a body with 3 heads and 6 arms, and increase infinite power out of thin air. Su Junming nodded. It has basically inherited all the magical powers that the Lingming stone monkey should have. This is what should be done. After all, the soul is still the same soul. Although the bloodline is slightly worse, it has not changed at all. Are you really willing to become my teacher? Yes, yes, monkey nodded repeatedly. Forget it, I will accept you as my 10th disciple and the 15th disciple of my Chongshan lineage. Disciple pays homage to master. The monkey bowed his head respectfully. Do you have a name? The monkey shook his head simply. Please also ask master to get one for your disciple. After Su Junming nodded. You were born with the appearance of a Hosen, so your surname is Sun, and you were born from the womb of a spiritual stone, so your surname is just Shi. Sun Shi, I have a name. After somersaults in excitement, he knelt down again. Sun Shi pays homage to master. Greetings to your third uncle. Sun Shi pays homage to third master uncle. The Dragon Emperor nodded, with a faint smile on his cold face. Today you join my sect, you are my disciple of Chongshan. In the future, you need to be cautious in your words and deeds, eliminate demons and protect the way, and practice hard. If you let me know that you rely on your cultivation outside in the future, do evil, and bully the weak, you will be chased down to the 18th level. Hell, I will also capture you and strip you of your skin and cramps to rectify my tradition of worshipping the mountains. Sun Shi trembled all over, with a look of fear on his face. Disciples will never dare to violate the sect's rules. It's good that you can remember what I said today. My Chongshan lineage has been passed down for thousands of years, and my teacher is the founder of the section under my teacher. You have 7 uncles. After briefly explaining the situation of Chongshan Academy, Su Junming spread out his right hand, revealing 2 jade slips. The Pangu scripture is the direct inheritance of my Chongshan Academy's martial arts. After practicing it, it can break mountains, divide seas and rivers, and even open up the world. It is not a lie. Upon hearing this, Sun Shi's eyes lit up instantly. The Aoki Sutra is the direct inheritance of my Chongshan Academy Mudeo. It contains 36 kinds of immortal techniques and 108 kinds of applications. It is infinitely mysterious. Sun Shishua scratched his head and looked at the 2 jade slips in his master's hand, filled with longing. Seeing him like this, Su Junming smiled faintly and threw them away, and the 2 jade slips flew into Sun Shi's hands. These 2 techniques are easy for you to practice. If you don't understand anything, just come and ask me. Disciple, obey. With a flick of his finger, the phantom of the bronze mirror and the phantom of Sankei Shenmen flew into Sun Shi's danshan. The bronze mirror can bless your understanding and help you realize the Tao. This treasure is the most precious treasure of our Chongshan Academy, and it cannot be used by non-direct disciples. In the future, if you are a lay practitioner, you must not reveal anything about this treasure to outsiders, including the inner disciples of Chongshan Academy. If there is any violation, you will be severely punished as a teacher. Judging from his serious expression, Sun Shi Nana should be. The 3 divine gates each have their own magical functions, you can realize them by yourself. Soon, a hill covered with clouds, a red gourd, and a green bamboo stick flew in front of Sun Shi. This mountain contains thousands of miles of space. It is a portable cave that can only be enjoyed by the direct disciples of my Chongshan disciples. You can practice here in the future. The red gourd contains a huge space for your daily storage. In addition, this treasure has unique functions, you can experience it yourself. The sapphire staff and the red gourd are both the symbols of my direct disciple of Chongshan. It is also a good mid-grade Yuan-Yang immortal weapon, which can help you defend the law. Thank you Master for the treasure. After Su Junming nodded, 2 more magical weapons appeared in his hands. Sun Shi instantly saw that these 2 treasures were far stronger than the previous 3, and the 2 sides were not at the same level at all. Green God Ruyi Stick, Green Wood Gourd. Both of them are low-grade immortal treasures. These are important treasures given to you by your master. Use them well. The Qingshen Ruyi Stick was made by Su Junming after he came to the earthly immortal realm, using the branches of the middle-grade innate spiritual root jade tree. It took him 3 years. Thank you Master. Looking at the excited monkey in front of him, Su Junming smiled and nodded. He looked at the truth. Without the real Wukong, would the spread of Buddhism to the East be as smooth as what was written in the Journey to the West? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 808. Chapter 789, 4 Monkeys in the World. Su Junming finally took out a set of dark gold armor, including a helmet, breastplate, etc., and even a gold-rimmed red cloak hanging on the back. This armor was made by me in my early years. It is called Phoenix Wings wearing golden armor. Although it is not like the previous 2 pieces, it is still the best treasure armor. I will give it to you today. It will be your armor in time of war and your leisure time. It can also be used as a covering. With a flash of inspiration in his hand, the phoenix wings pierced the golden armor and instantly turned into a cyan bunt. With a wave of his hand, the treasure armor flew into Sun Shi's body and instantly transformed into a set of dark gold armor. Su Junming saw this and nodded slightly. At this moment, although Sun Shi is only innate, he has no cultivation. But behind the armor on the ship, he really has a bit of the demeanor of the Monkey King. However, compared to the great sage who reached Tai true immortal level when he was making trouble in the heavenly palace, the current Sun Shi is still far behind. After switching back and forth between the armor and the cyan bunt for a while, Sun Shi's face was filled with joy, and he bowed his head and thanked him repeatedly. Get up. A figure walked out of Su Junming's body. Follow me. Looking at the 2 identical masters, Sun Shi was born with intelligence and intelligence. He quickly understood that this was the clone of the master, and followed him out obediently. Can your life substitution technique really be concealed from the Tathagata Jade Emperor? Asked the Dragon Emperor. I use the bronze mirror as a medium to cast this book. Unless their destiny is better than mine, and they have a treasure that surpasses the bronze mirror, there is no way to deduce any clues. After hearing this, the Dragon Emperor was relieved. To be able to realize destiny to the Tai realm requires not only extremely high talent, but also years of practice. There are even fewer monks with such a realm. The entire world combined is probably no more than 1 palm. As for the bronze mirror, even if Su Junming has advanced to Tai Celestial Immortal, the mirror is still rusty. Occasionally a hint of breath is revealed, but it is also powerful and boundless, vast and broad. Far more than any treasure he had ever seen. Everyone speculated that it was at least a top-grade innate spiritual treasure, or perhaps even stronger. But without comparison, they couldn't be sure. The Dragon Emperor nodded and no longer struggled with this issue. The 4 monkeys in this world are all people with extraordinary qualifications. In addition to the luminous stone monkey Sun Wukong, there are also 6-eared macaques, red-necked horse monkeys and black-armed monkeys. Don't you plan to accept them? I'm not running a monkey concentration camp, so why do I need so much? Besides, except for the six-eared macaques, there are no outstanding ones among the red-necked horse monkeys and the trampoline monkeys in the entire journey to the west. Speaking of the red-necked horse monkey and the white-armed monkey, they are the Huaguashan Beng, the second general of Ba, the second marshal of Ma and Lu, and they are not outstanding figures. What about the six-eared macaque? Su Junming's face showed thoughts. In the entire journey to the west, there are not many demons who can compete with Sun Wukong, except for a few such as the Bull Demon King, Erlang Shen, Golden Winged Dapen, Juling Yuan Sheng and Black Bear Spirit. The six-eared macaque is one of them. Thinking of this, Su Junming also felt a little love for talents. I just don't know where this monkey is hiding now. Don't you have a divine orb? Su Junming nodded, spread out his left palm, and spun the divine ball rapidly. But his brows got higher and higher, and after a quarter of an hour the divine ball stopped. Looking at the questioning look in Dragon Emperor's eyes, he shook his head. Can't find any clues. With your current level of TNG magic and the TNG divine ball, you can't find any clues, Dragon Emperor asked in surprise. Su Junming nodded. He also felt a little strange. Logically speaking, with his cultivation of Tianjishu and the special innate spiritual treasure of Destiny Deo, he would definitely not be able to find out any information. Unless there is an extremely powerful monk who uses higher methods and stronger spiritual treasures than him to erase the news of the six-eared macaque. Think for a moment. It is said that the law does not spread to the six ears. How true do you think this statement is? The Dragon Emperor understood the meaning of his words. If the six-eared macaque was really scolded by Hung Jun as in the legend, he would never be easily subdued by Tathagata, let alone be beaten to death by Sun Wukong. Su Junming nodded, and Taoist ancestor Hung Jun preached, opening up a prosperous era of spiritual practice in ancient times. Those who can survive from this era are all-powerful people like Zhen Yuanzi. As powerful as Su Junming, now he can only get a glimpse of that long and prosperous era from the classics of various sects. So these six ears are definitely not the other six ears. The most likely possibility now is that the six-eared macaque has also branched out like the red-breasted macaque and the wild-branched monkey. This one in the earthly immortal world is just a descendant, not the ancestor of one of the four monkeys in the world. The Dragon Emperor pondered for a moment, maybe, but since there is no news about the six-eared macaque, let's wait until we go west to find out. After that he stood up. Where are you going? Black Wind Mountain. If it can tie with Sun Wukong, then the black bear monster is definitely not a simple character. After saying that, the light flew up and quickly disappeared. Why is this guy still fighting with monsters? If you have this free time, you might as well practice your 5 elements of divine light more. As for the black wind monster, it lives next to Guanyin Temple and was adopted by Guanyin as the guardian of the mountain. Su Junming would not believe it if it had nothing to do with Guanyin. Shaking his head, he stood up and walked into Tiangong Hall. Prepare to refine some elixirs to help Sun Shi, his apprentice, practice. On the journey to the west, in the scenic spot of Lingshan Mountain in Hezhu, the Buddha's light is majestic. In the vast and boundless hall, 3,000 Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are listening to the Buddha Sakyamuni's sermons. The 4 Bodhisattvas in the front are solemn and full of Buddha's light and treasure. The one in the middle is 6 feet tall, Amitabha, with big ears and shoulders, a majestic look in his brows, and auspicious energy blooming from 3,000 buns. 3 feet behind him, auspicious light blooms. What's unique is that there are thousands of things to see and it's boundless. Suddenly, the preaching stopped. The Bodhisattvas and Arhats did not hear the Buddha's voice and looked over at the same time. But the Buddha frowned slightly, as if he had encountered something disturbing. Of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas present, the only ones who could ask the Buddha directly were those standing in front. Buddha, may I encounter something difficult to solve? Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva asked. Sakyamuni did not answer immediately. He pinched the 5 fingers of his right hand and mysterious waves spread out. Anyone who is successful in spiritual practice will have some skills in the art of heaven, and there is a difference between being proficient in it and not being proficient in it. So when they saw the Buddha deducing the secrets of heaven, the Buddhas did not speak again. After a while, the hand seals stopped, and the soul of Sakyamuni also came back to his senses from the vast and obscure heavenly secrets. After looking at the questioning eyes of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas below, I thought for a moment. Namo Amitabha, that's the end of today's lecture. You can go on your own. After saying that, he closed his eyes. Seeing that the Buddha didn't say anything, the Buddhas couldn't ask each other, so they left the Lingshan hall alone. After the surroundings were clear, Sakyamuni opened his eyes. Moko Kajyapa. A middle-aged monk wearing a monk's robe and with his bare right arm bent down to salute. I am Buddha. You take my decree with you to Huaguo mountain in Dongsheng Shenzhou and hand it over to the 18 arhats. A golden book slowly flew into his hand. Please obey my Buddhist teachings. Moko Kajyapa left the hall and quickly turned into a ray of light and disappeared. In the calculation just now, Sakyamuni did not calculate anything inappropriate. But there must be a reason for the trembling of the spiritual platform. That's why he asked Moko Kajyapa to go to Huaguo mountain. The spread of Buddhism to the east is the most important matter for Buddhism in the next 2000 years, and there must be no room for failure. There is only this chapter today, it is too difficult to write at the beginning of the new world. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 809. Another morning, Su Xian came to the academy early. As a latecomer, he has fallen behind a lot of homework compared to his classmates. If he wants to catch up, he must work harder. He didn't want to let down his sister who had worked so hard to raise him. Open the 3-character classic, use the pencil given by the teacher, and start writing on the paper, stroke by stroke, very seriously. Time passed unknowingly, and slowly more and more students came, and gradually it was time to start class. The teacher came in with a monkey who wore clothes and behaved like a human, but had red eyes and a loud mouth. Monster! A tall and sturdy child suddenly spoke. Su Junming frowned and was about to scold him when the monkey next to him grinned and glared, as if he wanted to hit someone. As a result, the seemingly tall and strong little guy twitched his eyes and cried out, "Wow! Wow, wow, the monster is eating people." After saying that, he spread his legs and ran out, and disappeared in a flash. His movements were as fast as if he had to urinate. Su Junming saw it, shook his head, and didn't pay much attention. He turned to look at the many students in the hall, all of them showing fear, which made him feel inexplicably upset. His original intention was to let Sun Shi learn some knowledge and understand the principles together. He has forgotten that the human race in the earthly immortal world is not his Chongshan world. In the world of Chongshan, due to strict laws, all living beings, whether human or demon, can coexist peacefully. But this is obviously not the case in the earthly immortal world. There are no classes today. You all should go home. If you want to come tomorrow, you can come. If you don't want to come, don't come. As soon as they heard what he said, all the children ran out. They had grown up listening to the teachings from their parents. If you don't obey, the monsters will take you away. When they saw Sun Shi's appearance, there was no one who was not afraid. But contrary to Su Junming's expectation, there are still people who dare to stay. Su Xian, aren't you afraid? Su Xian hesitated for a moment and shook his head. My sister said that my husband teaches students for free and also provides lunch, which benefits the village. He must be a good person. Your sister is quite insightful. Speaking of his sister, Su Xian showed a proud smile on his face. Of course, my sister's women's clothing is the best in Hangzhou, and many rich people buy it. Su Junming smiled lightly. Shidu, go over and be next to Su Xian. Yes, master. Sun Shi responded and walked to sit next to Su Xian. A monkey that was a head taller than him and looked very ferocious came over. Although Su Xian said he was not afraid, there was still a hint of fear in his eyes. Fortunately, he restrained himself and didn't scare away the children like before. Su Junming glanced at him and thought to himself, I almost passed the test of the human soul gate. I still have courage. With the previous comparison, Sun Shi also had a better impression of Su Xian next to him. You two are newcomers who have just entered school. Let's start from the three-character classic and read it with me. In the beginning, human beings are inherently good. Just after teaching a few words, there were heavy footsteps outside the door. Su Junming frowned. He hated being interrupted during class the most. Turning around, I saw a dozen men, women, and children walking in with their children. Those children were his former students. Mr. Su, Mr. Su. Su Junming stepped out. Ordinary people have a natural respect for teachers, especially in ancient times when teachers were respected and illiterates were everywhere. Moreover, as a Tai celestial immortal, although he has sealed his magic power, he still possesses an air of calmness and dignity, as well as an elegant and ethereal temperament. Those who came with their children felt ashamed when they saw him come out, and they did not dare to say anything. But the more people there are, the more courage there will be. A man who looked a bit strong said, Mr. Su, the child said there are monsters in your school. He hasn't finished speaking yet. Monster? Oh, it's so scary. There are really monsters in the school. Go and report to the official. The people behind saw Sun Shi, who was 5 feet tall, had a red face and a thunderous mouth, and looked like a monkey, and their colors instantly changed. The timid ones were even more frightened and kept retreating. Quiet! Su Junming shouted suddenly, as if a thunder exploded in his ears, and at the same time, a mysterious force calmed down everyone's fear and anxiety. What you see is not a bloodthirsty monster, but a direct disciple of this deity. He is born with great wisdom. He is just like a monkey. There is no need to be afraid. Everyone looked at each other, and after a while, the strong man who spoke first said again, Mr. Su is trying to deceive us. This monkey is 5 feet tall, has flaming eyes, a thunderous mouth, and a fierce look. He is clearly a monster. Yes, it must be a demon. Everyone nodded in agreement. Su Junming shook his head secretly. He didn't expect that a group of ordinary people who couldn't read a lot of Chinese characters would be able to identify the difference between monsters and innate gods. I have said everything that needs to be said. Please come back later. If you are afraid, don't let your children come to ask for lessons in the future. After hearing this, everyone immediately changed their colors. In the past 3 years, Chongshan Academy has not charged tuition fees and provided free lunch, benefiting hundreds of families around it. They have become accustomed to enjoying these benefits and would not be willing to lose them suddenly. There is a saying, when rice rises, kindness fights against rice and hatred. Of course there are some petty people among the dozens of people. Mr. Su, according to Daki law, colluding with monsters is a capital crime. We have been neighbors for so many years, and we have been favored by you. Let us pretend that we didn't see what happened today. But if you insist on taking in this monster, don't blame us. Go to the Yamen and file a complaint against you. A man with triangular eyes in brocade clothes threatened. After glancing at him, Su Junming looked cold and breathed fragrantly. Roll. You. Sun Shi, who had long been angered by these people's monster, jumped out of the teacher's room. He bared his teeth and looked ferocious. Roar. Everyone who looked angry just now and wanted to argue with Su Junming was instantly frightened to death by the appearance it deliberately put on. After taking a breath, Sun Shi took 2 steps forward and knelt down in front of Su Junming. Disciple acted recklessly, please master punish me. If someone points your nose and scolds you and you remain indifferent, my teacher will kick you out. Get up. If these people hadn't been accompanied by children, Su Junming would have gone out with all his skills. Thank you, master. Sun Shi's face was filled with joy and he quickly got up. Looking at Su Xian, who followed quietly, he waved after thinking for a moment. The latter hesitated for a moment and walked over quickly. Gentlemen. Su Xian, are you willing to accept me as your teacher? Apprenticeship. Su Xian couldn't figure out what it meant to be a disciple. That's right. You have a good talent. If you want to become your teacher, I will teach you how to practice. Su Xian's eyes lit up and he quickly asked, like an immortal, the kind that can fly around. Su Junming smiled lightly, not bad. Just as he was about to agree, he hesitated again. I want to ask my sister. That's the way it should be. Su Xian nodded, sir, I'll go back first. Go ahead. If your sister agrees, you can come back tomorrow. If not, you don't have to come again. Su Xian trembled and nodded quickly. He bowed respectfully, turned around and ran out. After he left, Su Junming flicked his fingers, and a spiritual light disappeared in the courtyard gate. Come on, let's go back to class. Sun Shi nodded and walked back to the classroom obediently. Those who were scared away by him would certainly not give up when they returned home. And no one wants this monster to live near their home, it's too dangerous. A dozen people together rushed to the Yamen to report the crime. Hangcheng is a county government, and one of the parents here has at least the strength of Yuan Yang, true immortal, with the help of the Imperial Dragon energy. But within Daki, the local Yamen are only responsible for local government affairs, and those who deal with monsters and ghosts are Jingyesi, which is directly under the Imperial Court's criminal department. After receiving the report, the Yamen quickly handed it over to Jingyesi, who sent 2 iron guards over. Tiwei is the lowest ranking member of Jingyesi, and most of them have a cultivation level of Jindan or above. Because the lowest level among the transformed demon clan is the golden elixir. If you don't have this level of cultivation, you will die if you come to Jingyesi. 2 adults, this is it. Luer Meize, with a flattering smile on his face, diligently brought the 2 imposing iron guards outside the academy. Looking at the small courtyard in front of me, which is built with green bricks and covered with green tiles, covering an area of more than an acre. Wang Ling turned his head and said, are you sure this is where it is? Yes, my son has been studying here for half a year. There is no way I can remember it wrong. Brother Wang, I have heard a lot about Chongshan Academy. Coming together, a middle-aged monk wearing Gee suddenly said. Oh, have you been here? That's not true. However, Dean Su of Chongshan Academy teaches poor children for free and provides them with lunch. Therefore, he has a good reputation around him. So, this Mr. Su doesn't look like someone who is complicit in the demon clan. Wang Ling looked at Luer Meize with sharp eyes. The latter's legs trembled when he saw him, his face was full of fear, and he said quickly. 2 officials, Mr. Su is hiding the demon clan, but the neighbors have seen it, so he is definitely not lying. The people watching around also nodded quickly. Wang Ling frowned slightly, let's go in and take a look. The middle-aged man Gee nodded and pushed the courtyard door. The closed black door was easily pushed open by him. The 2 looked at each other and walked in with wary expressions. The moment they entered, the 2 courtyard doors closed automatically with a bang. This strange scene instantly scared the onlookers around to the point of jumping and running away in the distance. It wasn't until I ran out of the alley that I dared to stop and look back. The fierce fight imagined did not happen. It's over, it's over. Those 2 officials were probably killed by the monkey demon. If we report it to the police, it won't come to harm us too, right? Everyone exchanged glances with each other and immediately dispersed. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 810. Sister, it's so quiet here. Su Xian walked in the spacious alley. The streets that were usually filled with the atmosphere of life were so quiet at the moment that it made people feel chills. Yeah, it's really weird. Su Jiarong said in surprise. Sister, let's go quickly. The gentleman has to wait impatiently. Su Xian quickly pulled his sister and ran towards the academy. When he returned home before, he did not tell his sister about the practice and the monsters. He knew that it would be difficult to persuade his sister on his own, but if he added Mr. Su, whom his sister had always respected, the result would be different. The two siblings, who had been here several times, walked into the courtyard with familiarity. Gentlemen. Seeing Su Junming walking out, Su Xian quickly stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Mr. Su. Su Jiarong hurriedly stepped forward to greet her, but before she could finish her words, she saw Sun Shi coming out from behind and was instantly frightened. With an ouch, Deng Deng took 2 steps back, just in time to avoid falling down. Yeah. Before he could say the word strange, he rolled his eyes and fainted instantly. Elder sister. Su Xian was shocked and subconsciously wanted to help him. But with his small body, how could he possibly support Su Jiarong, who was almost 28 years old? Su Junming waved his hand, and the invisible force straightened Su Jiarong, and at the same time made her wake up. When she saw Mr. Su, whom she respected, there was a different kind of power in his eyes, which calmed her down inexplicably. Sister, are you okay? Brother Xian, it's okay. After comforting her younger brother, Su Jiarong looked at the monster wearing a green cloth, with red eyes and a thunderous mouth. She didn't feel any fear in her heart. Such a change made her feel strange. But her long-term vigilance against monsters made it difficult for her to calm down. Mr. Su, the stone is not a monster, he is my disciple. Disciple? Su Jiarong was slightly startled. Sister, it's my business. Su Xian tugged on her sleeves, with a reminder in his words. Su Jiarong, who came back to her senses, quickly bowed and saluted. Sir, I hired a little girl, but what mistake did Brother Xian make? Su Junming understood instantly and glanced at Su Xian, who quickly lowered his head and did not dare to look directly. I am a cultivator and am practicing in seclusion here. Seeing your brother's qualifications, I want to take him under his sect and become a registered disciple. You are his sister. Of course, this matter must be approved by you. Practice. Su Jiarong was stunned. Su Junming nodded and waved casually. In an instant, endless green flowers and plants grew out of the ground. After a while, the entire yard turned into a sea of flowers. Colorful and brilliant as a rainbow. The breeze blows, and the strong or light fragrance of flowers is intoxicating. Before Su Jiarong and Su Xian came to their senses, the two of them felt a lightness under their feet. Their bodies were floating in the air like rootless duckweeds. But in a moment, the huge Hangzhou city had been trampled under their feet. Villages, towns, fields, mountains, and rivers are thousands of miles away, which makes people's hearts wide open. Just when the Su siblings were intoxicated by the endless scenery in front of them, their eyes suddenly blurred. When everything became clear, they realized that they were still surrounded by the courtyard, and they were still standing where they were. Everything that happened before seemed like a dream. Su Xian woke up first, with fiery eyes. Sir, I am willing to become a disciple. Su Junming smiled and nodded, looking at Su Jiarong. Obviously waiting for her answer. Sister, I want to become a disciple. Seeing his brother's longing look, Su Jiarong's eyes had a hint of memories. When Su Xian was born, the room was filled with red light. A monk happened to pass by and said that Su Xian had great luck and would be able to ascend to heaven in the future, be among the immortals, and live forever. As soon as the father was happy, he named the child Su Xian. But less than 3 years after Su Xian made the news, his parents fell ill and died one after another. Although the Su family is not a wealthy family in Hangzhou, they are still kind to others. With the help of neighbors, I can barely get by. But Su Xian has been in poor health since he was born, and he always dreams about some fairy things about Chao Bihai Mu Kang Guo. Seeing that the health of his only direct descendant was getting depressed day by day, and it was difficult to cure him with medicine or stone, Su Jiarong had no choice but to ask Lu Bangxian, the most famous man in Hangzhou, to tell his fortune. As a result, Lu Bangxian said that the word Xian was too big, and Su Xian was not born with enough talent to hold it up for the time being. If you want to be healthy and healthy, you need to change Su Xian to Su Xian. In the future, wait until he reaches the crown and then change it back, so that you can be extremely prosperous and rich. Su Jiarong obeyed her advice and changed Su Xian's name to Su Xian. As expected, she was in good health, free from all diseases, and never had any miraculous dreams again. But she never forgot the words of the old monk about becoming an immortal when her brother was born. Take a slight breath. Mr. Su, can my brother really become an immortal? Humph, with the guidance of my master, it is not difficult to become an immortal, son, she said proudly. In the past few days, it has thoroughly understood what cultivation is, and even more clearly understood the family background of Chongshan Academy. As a disciple of Chongshan, I am naturally proud of him. As long as he practices hard and listens to my teachings, he can become an immortal, Su Junming said calmly. Su Xian's qualifications are extraordinary. Although they are not as good as the direct descendants of Chongshan, let alone innate gods like Sun Shi, it is not difficult to become an immortal. Sir, if I become your disciple, will my brother Xian be able to start a family? My disciple is not allowed to take a leave of absence during his marriage. If he has a lover he admires in the future, he will be able to fly together. Su Jiarong breathed a sigh of relief. Her Su family has a single lineage, but it cannot be extinguished. He turned his head, his expression solemn and serious. Brother Xian, have you thought about it? Do you really want to become a disciple? Su Xian nodded heavily. Although he didn't know why, there seemed to be a voice in his heart telling him that if he didn't become a disciple, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Su Jiarong sighed. She personally raised Su Xian and knew that the seemingly frail brother was actually a strong and stubborn person. Once you decide something, you will never look back. Mr. Su, I will trouble you to teach me more in the future. As a role model, I will not waste his talent, Su Junming nodded. After Su Jiarong nodded, he lifted up his right sleeve, and a delicate silver bracelet appeared on her slender wrist. This was a treasure that was passed down to her when her mother passed away. She has always treasured it and is reluctant to part with it easily. When I came out this time, I brought it out on a whim. He reached out and took it off, holding it in his palm. Mr. Su, please accept this small gift as a gift to me. Su Junming took a look and shook his head slightly. Take your things back. I have no need for these mundane things. If you feel uneasy, just stay here as a sweeper and take care of your brother. Su Jiarong nodded quickly, thank you, sir. Su Junming nodded. Su Xian, come in with me. Arriving at the main room, Su Junming sat at the top. Su Suanfu was so moved that he knelt down quickly and kowtowed 3 times. Disciple Su Xian, pay homage to master. My master's name is Taoist Chongshan True Monarch. My name is Su Junming, and I am the founder of Chongshan Academy. Under my sect, there are 10 direct disciples and 17 named disciples. Except for a few in the early years, all of them have become immortals. Today, I will accept you as my named disciple. At the same time, you are also an inner disciple of my Chongshan Academy. Opening his left palm, 3 1-foot-tall stone gates appeared in his palm. This treasure is the San Kei Shenmen. It is an important treasure passed down from the direct line of our Chongshan Academy. Non-Kongshan inner sect disciples may not give it lightly. With a wave of his hand, San Shenman plunged into Su Xian's danshan. This treasure has many wonderful uses. I'll just ask your senior brother Sun for advice when the time comes. He, don't worry, junior brother Su, I will definitely teach you well, senior brother Sun Shi, who was standing aside, said with a smile. I don't know if it's because of the apprenticeship, but Su Xian feels that the senior brother whom he has only met for less than a day is no longer as scary as he was at the beginning. Immediately afterwards, a green bamboo stick flew in front of Su Xian. The name of this object is the Sapphire Staff. It is a standard item for the inner disciples of my Chongshan Academy. I will give it to you today. The inner disciples are no better than the direct descendants. Apart from the Sapphire Staff, there are no storage gourds and portable caves? Thank you, Master. Get up. Su Xian has not yet practiced cultivation, and Su Junming has not given any other spiritual treasures to protect the way. Stone. Sun Shi stepped forward quickly. Master, what are your instructions? You pass the Aoki Sutra to him. Disciple, obey. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 811. Chapter 792, Black Seeds Sprout, Time Talisman. Jingyesi Yamen, Hangcheng County. What? Even Ho Chengdu failed. The tall man with the Chinese character face in a brocade robe nodded gloomily. The entire Hangcheng Jingyesi division has already gathered 9 iron guards and 3 bronze guards in Chongshan Academy. Ho Cheng is one of the 3 silver guards of Jingyesi in Hangzhou, and his cultivation in the early stage of Yuan Shen can be described as powerful. Sitting on the main seat, Lin Dong, who was wearing a brocade robe and a jade crown, was handsome and looked like a prince from troubled times. His shocked expression slowly faded away, and a look of interest appeared on his face. I didn't expect that Mr. Su's cultivation level is so strong. Come on, let's go take a look. Wait, are you serious? Lin Dong understood the meaning of his words. Even Ho Chengdu had failed. Although the two of them had higher cultivation than Ho Cheng, they were still limited. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. I have already reported the matter about Chongshan Academy to Jingyesi, the state capital. I believe that Jinwei will come here soon to investigate. At this moment, of course we must be more diligent. The big man in brocade robe nodded, and the two of them left the Jingyesi Yamen. Taking advantage of the wind and air, I came to the top of Jingyesi and looked down at the small courtyard. It was like there was a mist that couldn't be seen through at all. The two of them immediately understood that this was not an enemy they could deal with, and they wanted to retreat. Unexpectedly, a boundless force enveloped me, and I was horrified. I was about to resist, but I found that the magic power in my body that was originally full of energy was like a pool of stagnant water. In an instant, his body flew down and disappeared into the courtyard. Gilou, 1 gulp of wine. Tai Zhenjun showed a look of enjoyment on his face. After a moment, he looked at the unlucky guy falling from the sky. If we erase the memories of these people, we will avoid trouble. After saying that, he turned his head and asked, or do you have other plans? What do you think? Haha, you probably have a crush on Qi, right? Su Junming nodded. Although it is far behind those powerful dynasties, among the small countries, Qi state spans 90 million miles and has a population of 300 billion. It is considered medium-sized. It can be used as the foundation of our Chongshan Academy. After Tai Zhenjun thought for a moment, a look of approval appeared on his face. Today in the earthly immortal world, Dongsheng Shenzhou is the private territory of the Taoist sect, Zini Yuhez who belongs to the Buddhist sect, and Luz who in the north is bitterly cold and sparsely populated. Only in the southern part of the continent is the Taoist and Buddhist mixed, and the demon and shaman tribes have their own power. If we only by being able to integrate Nanzan continent and withstand the joint suppression of the Buddhist and Taoist families can we truly be qualified to swallow up this earthly and immortal world. Su Junming nodded slowly. If nothing else, the spread of Buddhism to the east alone is a big trouble. Based on your calculations, you should be able to calculate the time when Buddhism spread eastward, Tai Zhenjun said. There is still a month left before the old monkey is born. Deducting the time it took to become a master and practice, and the 500 years of suppression. The time left for us is about 1,000 years. 1,000 years, it only takes 1,000 years to achieve your current level of cultivation. If you have another 1,000 years, it should be enough for you to become a Deluo celestial immortal. The Tathagata may not only have the cultivation level of Deluo celestial immortal, Su Junming said. As long as there is no big gap in realms, with our magic weapon, we can compete with Tathagata and occupy the southern continent. And the longer it takes, the better it will be for us. Su Junming nodded slowly. With the bronze mirror, an artifact of enlightenment, and the help of elixirs, it is not impossible to break through to the Deluo realm in 1,000 years. And as he said, the longer it takes, the better it is for him. Thinking of this, Su Junming was shocked. Tai Zhenjun, who was connected with his soul, instantly noticed the abnormality. What's wrong? Without enough time to answer, Su Junming took a step forward, and the next moment he arrived at the treasure room with the most restrictions in Chongshan residence. True Lord Tai came with him, and the two of them looked ahead, with shocked expressions on their faces. However, he saw that the infinite light black airflow, like a rushing river, flew down from the void, and was instantly absorbed by a black hill that was as big as 100 feet. This black hill is shaped like an olive and has a bumpy surface, making it look extremely ugly. It is the black who has been by Su Junming's side since he entered Taoism. After thousands of years of gestation, this black species absorbed the endless energy of acquired chaos before growing to its current height of 100 feet. Su Junming stared at the black man like a hill. Since hundreds of years ago, in the world of Liuzai, this black species revived and began to actively absorb the acquired chaos energy. This is the first time it has made such a big noise. Especially the waterfall-like acquired chaotic energy, the amount of which made him feel numb even just looking at it. Driven by the infinite chaotic energy, the black species slowly expanded to 150 feet, 300 feet, and gradually grew to 1,000 feet. The chaos energy swallowed was hundreds of times greater than at the beginning. The ugly and pitted black shell turned into translucent jade under the wash of endless chaos energy. Boom! The inexplicable sound, as if the world was opening for the first time, ignored the seal of Kongshanju, and resounded throughout the three realms in an instant. At this moment, Buddha Tathagata, Heavenly Court Jade Emperor, Taoist Lejun, Longevity Mountain Town Yuanzi, etc. were all moved. But no matter how they deduce it, they can't even get the slightest clue. Chongshan lives in the treasure palace, after the sound of thunder. A bright rainbow light, like an erupting volcano, erupted from the top of the 1,000-foot black species. The chaotic energy becomes more dense the day after tomorrow. Gradually, the rainbow light slowly shrank and solidified. A 3-foot-tall tree, covered with emerald green, with divine patterns looming on its pentagonal leaves, auras of aura, thousands of auspicious colors, and a mysterious little tree appeared in front of my eyes. At the moment when the sapling grew, the roaring acquired chaotic energy seemed to have lost its target and most of it collapsed. Not good. Su Junming's heart moved, and he quickly introduced the acquired chaotic energy into the Tianhui mountain. If such a huge amount of acquired chaotic energy were allowed to disperse, most of my mountain residents would be wiped out by their violent impact. Don't even think about keeping the 2 half remaining drops of ancestral witch essence and blood and the magical willow branches next to them. The level of the acquired chaotic energy was too high. After being absorbed by the small world of 30 million miles away, the heavenly outer God mountain, it gradually collapsed and the rich spiritual energy dispersed. It directly caused the Tianhui mountain to expand twice. The huge area of nearly 90 million miles has reached the point where it will break through the middle thousand world. With no time to pay attention to the great changes in the holy mountain outside the sky, Su Junming focused all his attention on the black species. It can be seen that the 3-foot-tall tree is just a seedling, and it is still far from being fully grown. But the aura revealed by this small tree is earth-shattering and mysterious. Su Junming used his spiritual sense to spy on him, but he was ejected before he even got close. Activate the bronze mirror, and a clear divine light envelops the small green tree that grows above the top of the black tree. In an instant, the infinite aura of greenwood came into view. A feeling like a vast ocean rose from the bottom of my heart. At the same time, he also saw the depth of the wood energy, which was like a sea current, vast and boundless, with a noble and gorgeous lavender aura. At the same time, a feeling of vicissitudes of time and eternity appeared in my heart. After being immersed in it for an unknown amount of time, Su Junming slowly opened his eyes. Look inside the Danshan. Among the 12 core talismans such as the space around the bronze mirror, Tiangong, and Yin and Yang, another lavender talisman appeared. This talisman is shaped like a long river, revealing the breath of time. 2 lotus flowers float on the mighty river, revealing fast and slow, 2 completely opposite charms. Time Talisman. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 812. Chapter 793, Huangzongli, the best spiritual route. The innate and primordial fundamental energy is the way of time. Although there were countless speculations about this black species before, at this moment, Su Junming knew what kind of treasure he had got. My dear, is this the legendary Huangzongli? Tai Zhenjun's voice was trembling. Su Junming took a deep breath and recalled what he had seen before in his mind, his expression still hard to conceal his excitement. And it's also a top-quality innate spiritual root that contains the way of time. According to legend, didn't this thing disappear long ago in the ancient times? How could it still fall into our hands? No matter what the reason is, this baby is ours now, Su Junming affirmed. True Lord Tai also nodded heavily. This is the legendary Huangzongli, the #1 spiritual root in the world. It is more precious than ren shui flat peach, Bodhi tree, bitter bamboo, hibiscus tree, etc. A treasure of heaven and earth that can truly be used to suppress the fate of a great religion. And what's even more rare is that it is also a top-quality innate spiritual root that contains the way of time, which is undoubtedly even more precious. I really made a lot of money this time, Tai Zhenjun said excitedly. After Su Junming nodded, he stretched out his hand and a lilac light enveloped True Lord Tai. The latter's expression changed slightly. The practitioner's spiritual sense was extremely sharp, and he could clearly feel that the flow of time around him seemed to be speeding up. Su Junming pinched his right hand, and Tai Zhenjun instantly felt that time around him had slowed down a lot, almost 3 times the normal time. It seems that you have understood the law of time. Su Junming nodded. It's a pity that my time for enlightenment was limited just now. Now I can only speed up time 3 times or slow down time 3 times. If it is tripled, it can only play a supporting role, and it will be difficult to use it against the enemy. Whether it has a supporting role, if it is used for practice, we will have enough time to deal with the spread of Buddhism to the east, Su Junming said. Tai Zhenjun's eyes lit up. If your understanding of the law of time can go further, wouldn't we have tens of thousands of years available? Haha, it's not as good as you think. With our current cultivation, the time laws under Yuan Yang Xianxian are basically useless to us. I'm afraid it will collapse as soon as the magic power is activated. Su Junming shook his head. So, the time talisman is too useless at this time. If it is really useless, there will be no saying that time is emperor and space is king. What's the meaning? It means that as long as I understand the law of time to the realm of Tai celestial immortal, we will be able to get 10 times the cultivation time in the real world. The higher the realm, the more useful it will be to us. The higher the realm, the more benefits. Of course I know this. The key is, when can you understand the law of time to the Tai realm? If it takes hundreds or thousands of years, what is it if it is not useless? It's not as difficult as you think. With the help of the bronze mirror and the yellow plum in front of me as a reference, I can understand the law of time to the Tai realm in 100 years, Su Junming said confidently. Are you sure? Certainly. Su Junming stretched out his hand and carried the 1,000-foot-long black seed and the yellow plum that Xiao He had just pointed to the Tianhui sacred mountain. The huge world of 9,000 miles is already close to the peak of the small world. After setting up numerous prohibitions, Su Junming planted the Huangzhong plum on the top of Chongshan, the highest peak of the Tianhui mountain. Why not plant it on the Creation Spirit Island? Tai Zhenjun asked. The acquired chaotic energy is too violent, and 99% of the elixirs in the Creation Spirit Island cannot be tolerated. It's a pity that these spiritual energy are used to feed elixirs. Even those low-grade innate spiritual roots can shorten the maturity period by 2/3. In this way, we can refine more elixirs and strengthen Chongshan, the strength of a school. Especially our strength. Although Huang Zhongli is just a newborn, his innate spiritual roots' ability to sort out turbidity has already begun to emerge. After absorbing a huge amount of acquired chaotic energy, there is still a large amount of pure innate spiritual energy dispersed. Moreover, the quality of these innate spiritual energy is extremely high, completely too elementary. Whether it is used for cultivation or as a pregnancy elixir, it will get twice the result with half the effort. The growth of Tianhui mountain is also good for us. Tai Zhenjun shook his head. Which is more important? I think you know better than me. Su Junming was silent. Of course he knows. Because of the bronze mirror, the direct disciples of the entire Chongshan Academy generally have higher moral conduct than magical power. If there are enough elixirs to increase mana, the strength of Chongshan Academy will definitely increase 10-fold and 100-fold. At that time, supplemented by the law of time, 1,000 years may not be able to bring out a behemoth that is comparable to the two sects of Buddha and Tao in the immortal world. Recruit the second and third sons back, seal the Tianhui sacred mountain with the 4-elephant sword formation, prevent it from continuing to grow, and then extract the spiritual energy to support the Creation Spirit Island, Tai Zhenjun said solemnly. Su Junming pondered for a moment. It doesn't have to be so troublesome. Just seal the area around Chongshan for thousands of miles. Tai Zhenjun's eyes lit up. Yeah, as long as we can gather the spiritual energy, it's enough. There's no need to bother at all. I'll leave this to you. Su Junming waved his hand and gave him the formation diagram of the Lianji dust formation. After getting this thing from the Shushan Imei sect, he used it together with the 4-elephant sword formation to seal off the Shushan world. Later, after the entire Chixian Shenzhou was integrated into the world of Chongshan, this formation map became idle. Over hundreds of years, Su Junming has refined it into a low-grade Tai immortal treasure. With its mystery, let alone sealing this thousands-mile-high mountain. Even the entire Tianhui mountain is enough. Su Junming spread his left palm. Kongshanju, surrounded by clouds and mist, flew out. Just use this treasure to suppress the formation and introduce the feedback innate spiritual energy into the Creation Spirit Island. Hey, look at me. Tai Zhenjun waved his hand casually, and the Lianji dust formation instantly flew into the air. The aura was generous and the auspicious colors bloomed. Soon it covered thousands of miles in radius. The entire Chongshan mountain was sealed in the middle. It's not that Su Junming doesn't want to shrink, but no matter how small it is, this formation may not be able to hold on if it is washed away by the acquired chaos. The formation was set up, but within a moment, the innate spiritual energy within the formation became intense. He quickly moved Chongshan to the center. The bulging spiritual energy seemed to have found an outlet and swarmed in. Seeing this, Su Junming and Tai Zhenjun breathed a sigh of relief, with expectant smiles on their faces. It won't take long. There will be thunder on the Creation Spirit Island, and there are elixirs everywhere that have accumulated enough information to overcome the tribulation, Tai Zhenjun said happily. Being nourished by the spiritual energy of creation in the spiritual pool of creation, the quality of the elixir in the spiritual island of creation has improved a lot now that it is nourished by the spiritual energy of the innate Taishu. It will undoubtedly shorten the transformation time. It seems that I will stay in Tiangong Hall every day in the future. Tai Zhenjun rolled his eyes. It's been hundreds of years. Apart from your clones, when have you ever been to Tiangong Hall? Su Junming smiled faintly and said nothing more.